Welcome to Sisters in Service podcast. Most of you know me as a strong advocate for women veterans in being recognized not only as veterans, but also as women who are changing the world through our passion of serving, even after service. This podcast is my passion by telling all the stories of military brats, military spouses, active duty, and veterans, not to forget the veteran service organizations that help us along our transition journey. I want to thank you in advance for listening. I hope that you will join me every week. A new podcast and episode comes out every Tuesday, so I hope that you will join and I hope that you enjoy. This podcast is brought to you by Small Space Pilates. Are you ready to get fit and fabulous from the comfort of your own home? Look no further than Small Space Pilates. With live online Pilates and strength training classes, a video library, and a no perfection allowed policy, you can achieve your fitness goals without ever leaving your house. Click on the link for your complimentary week and start your journey to feeling fabulous today. Hey everybody, this is Kat Corchado, your host of Sisters in Service, and welcome to our newest episode. Today, I am speaking with the Veterans Who Sew, a group of women who have gotten together and not only sew, but they do other things such as friendship, togetherness, helping each other. So we're going to talk to each one of them today, and they're all here, and I'm so happy. And so I would like to introduce first Chris Hill. So Chris, would you like to tell everyone, of course, your name, I already said your name, but, what branch of service you were in and, where you're located if you'd like to, and how long has the Veterans Who Sew been going on?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Kat, for having us. As you said, I am Chris Hill, and I'm a 20-year retired Air Force veteran. I live in South Georgia currently. Once we retired out of Moody, my husband and I decided to stay put so that our daughters could finish college. And I'm actually glad that we stayed in this area because I've gotten to meet a lot of other veterans in this area, but none more special to me than these ladies that I'm here with. We met about a year ago this month and decided we got together and we all sewed a garment for Sewn magazine. Throughout that year, we communicated mostly via chat, and our friendship started to develop from that point. And we realized that there was a lot that we have in common, aside from sewing. We all served. We all have things that we missed about the service, mostly being that community, that friendship. And I think that it was I know that it was Anecia's idea for us to really start to bond in a different way after the magazine came out. She suggested that we start meeting monthly so that we could really build upon that bond that we have with each other, but also continue to we help each other in various ways as it relates to sewing.
So, Chris, I'm going to ask you another question. Did you pick the Air Force or did the Air Force pick you?
I actually picked the Army first, and I was so super excited about that. I called my uncle. My entire family was Army. I called my uncle, who was currently in the Army he was in the Army at that time, and I was so excited. And I was like, "Hey, Uncle, I just joined the Army." And he was like, "You are not going into the Army. You call that recruiter and you tell him you're not going." I had a contract and everything. And I called the guy. He's like, "Listen, they're going to threaten to put you in jail. Don't trust them. They're just bluffing." And sure enough, they were like, "The MPs are going to come and get you if you don't show up." And I was like, "Well, I tell you what, I'll be waiting." But I chose the Air Force, and it is absolutely next to Jesus. That's the best thing I've ever done.
I love that. Thank you. Anecia, would you like to introduce yourself? And same question, by the way.
Hi, I'm Anecia Robinson. I am prior service Army. I served for 6 years, and I connected, with these ladies again, just online initially. I think I probably communicated with Rochelle mostly or first, and then she told me about this project, and of course I was on board for the magazine. I've been sewing since I was in high school. I learned how to sew because I was just so skinny and my pants were so big always. So I had to figure out, instead of pinning them all the time. That's how I learned how to sew or took the class. And I just been sewing ever since. I did, during COVID when we had all of the online Zoom calls with, I don't know if you guys did it, but I did it with my family members. And I just thought like that would be a good thing for us to do. We could bring whatever your beverage of choice is and just share what projects we're working on, getting to know each other better, and just, collaborating. Like, for example, us being here with you today. So just a collaboration and getting prepared for something like this. So I'm looking forward to next month. I hosted already. I think Chris is going to host next. So I'm really excited about that.
So, Anecia, did you pick the Army or did the Army pick you?
I picked the Army. The recruiter that came to my high school, he was kind of cute. And so, I picked the Army. I don't think it chose me. And looking back, I'm older, so I'm looking way back.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But I love it when a plan comes together organically. It kind of starts with one thing and then it just kind of moves. You don't have to force it. It just happens. So I love that. Oneika, would you like to introduce yourself? And same question.
So my name is Oneika Brown. I am currently living in San Antonio, Texas. I am a retired Air Force veteran of 20 years. I started sewing, actually, I took a home economics class in the 7th grade. I remember sewing a stuffed animal, and to this day, I'm like, what happened to my stuffed animal? But I didn't touch the sewing machine after that class until probably my mid 20s. And that was just because I think I had to hem a pair of pants. And I did ask my grandmother to buy me a sewing machine. I was not interested in sewing at that time, but she bought it anyway. She was a seamstress herself. The whole family says that I picked up her gift, but it wasn't until about 2014, I was still in the Air Force. A lady, she had a tote bag, and it was made out of uniforms and some fabric. And I saw that tote bag. I was like, that is the cutest bag. And I found myself studying it. And I was like, I could probably make this tote bag. I went home to duplicate it. And when I did, it didn't look like hers, but I was hooked. I was hooked on sewing. So I started sewing baby blankets for my coworkers when they were having babies and curtains for them. And it just became a thing. And once I retired, or before I retired and right after I retired, then sewing became my mental health. And then now it's a business and a passion for me. And then meeting up with these ladies, Chris reached out when Sewn magazine had a veterans issue. She reached out. I didn't know her personally, but I saw that I guess we were following each other on Instagram. And she reached out to ask if I wanted to be a part of it. And it's been history. We're history in the making since then. So I'm so excited to see what comes of this group, what comes of our community, how it grows and such. And so thank you.
Oneika, did you pick the Air Force or did the Air Force pick you?
I think the Air Force picked me because when I tell you, I was probably the most naive military person ever. I had known nothing about the military. I was in 12th grade. I had wanted to go to college. Everyone filled out college applications. My loan form was still in the bottom of my book bag. I'm not lying. I thought there was like a college fairy that would say, hey, I know you want to go to this school. So I didn't fill out anything. And one day my friend said, the Air Force pays for your school. And we had college day with the recruiter. There was no other recruiter there. All I heard was they will pay for you to go to school. And it's been history since then. So it picked me, and it was the best choice, I think, the universe gave me to choose for my life.
Yeah,
So,
it's funny you said that. I grew up in the Air Force because my dad was already in. So I would say that the Air Force picked me. However, there was a moment where I wanted to go into the Navy because I saw their dress whites.
mm.
And I was like, I want to wear that. And the recruiter goes, they only wear that every now and then, right? And I go, well, what do they wear every day? And they showed me the little bell bottoms. I was like, oh no. No. We're not doing that. Thank you, ma'am. Rochelle, would you like to
Hey.
introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I am Rochelle Miles. I served 10 years in the Air Force. My entire family, military, all Army, and one Marine Corps. So during family reunions, you have all the Army people on one side, one Air Force person, and one Marine Corps. So we have to, join bands and go against the Army all the time, which we lose every single time. But
Wow,
that's a
even in
different story.
families that happens? I get it, mixed company, but even in families?
In
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
family,
interrupt you. I was
the
like,
Army
whoa.
had they're all Army strong. So, Marine Corps, I have to work with the Marine Corps every time. And, that could be a little challenging and difficult
That could be
too.
good or bad, depending on the challenge.
Right. Right. So I've been sewing. Well, it's crazy because I started sewing in home economics in 7th grade, just like Oneika. And at that time we had to make an apron. My apron didn't come out as planned. The pockets were upside down and everything else. Didn't know how to sew in a straight stitch, none of that. But I do have I had two aunts who were seamstress all their life, but I was not interested in sewing. Not until I had my daughter in 2010. And that's when I started learning how to sew because I seen Mimi G, who was very known in the sewing community. She made a jumpsuit and I was like, oh, let me try to find where she got this jumpsuit. Never understood patterns or anything. And we are here and been sewing since.
Wow. So I guess you kind of rebelled to go into the Air Force. Are you telling me you went in the Air Force on purpose?
I actually went in the Air Force on purpose. The Air Force did not choose me. I spent 3 years in high school ROTC, got a scholarship for that. And then when I went into the Air Force, they said that they'll pay for college. And I was like, well, I'm only here for the college and I'm out, so
I think
they
we all
tried to
said
throw
that
all
pretty
kinds
much.
of money. And you know how they say, oh, we're going to be $20,000 bonus. And they did that twice, but I knew better on the third time that they tried it. So I said, nah, that's all right, because I never got my $40,000 for the first 2 times. So I'm out.
Yeah, I was only going to go in the Air Force for 4 years. And then every time at the end, my son was changing schools or something was happening. I'm like, okay, I'll do another 4. And then something, and then I'll do another 4. And all of a sudden I was like, he was going to college and I was like, I only have 5 years left. What happened?
Yeah, they got me with 6 years at first. It was kind of like, hey, we'll pay for your college if you do 6 years. I signed up halfway through it. They were like, hey, I was looking to re-enlist into something else, cross-train, and the role wasn't available. So I just re-enlisted for another 3 years. By that time, they said, if you re-enlist, we'll give you $20,000 bonus. It never happened both times.
Yeah.
It never happened.
Let's talk a little bit about transition. I think today, regardless of how long you've been in, transition is just difficult. It's just hard. And I believe, and this is just my opinion, that it's hard for all veterans, but I think it's different for women. Do you think so? Do you think it's different for women than it is for men on some level? And the reason I say this is because most of the time when women get out of the military, if they were married, they're divorced, they have the kids for the most part. Now they get out of the military, they have to find schools, they have to find daycare, they have to find a job. And all of this pressure is just on you. And so when you guys talk about your transition, how do you feel about it? Was it okay? Was it not okay? Because I got out of the military thinking, I got this. I was a civilian before, I can civilian again. And I was so wrong. So Chris, let's start with you again. How was your transition?
My transition was actually very difficult. after 20 years of serving and being a part of this family, all of a sudden you go from being, one of many to being alone, it felt. And I remember I was so excited to retire. I was ready to retire. They always say you'll know when. I knew when, and I was ready, and I was excited, and I had these big plans. And so my husband and I had discussed for the first year that I was only going to decompress. I wasn't going to make any real life decisions. I wasn't going to work. I was just going to decompress and just kind of do my own thing. And that all sounded great until about the third month. The third month, I literally found myself in my house cleaning the grout in my kitchen. I was bored out of my mind. The house was spotless. I had no real purpose. I had no reason to get up. And, one of the big things that I was so excited about once I retired was, I'm going to wear whatever I want. I'm going to get my nails done. And, I'm going to get a weave down to my butt if I wanted. And, I had all these plans.
You had big plans.
I had big plans. And so I did get my nails done once and I hated it. My hands hurt so bad. I could not wait to get those things off my hands. And so 3 months in, it was just not going well. And so I think maybe about the fourth or fifth month, I was driving to the store and I literally cried out to God. And I just remember this intense cry as I was driving. And I remember just talking out loud and saying to God, Lord, this can't be it. There has to be more for my life. Please show me what there is, what you would have me to do in this season of my life. And I can't tell you exactly when it was that my prayers were answered, but my prayers were answered. And it came to me in the way of a patent idea, but the patent required that I sew, and I didn't know how to sew. And very long story short, I ended up going to a couple of thrift stores because I was non-committal. I didn't want to spend a lot of money. So I went to 2 different stores, didn't find anything. And the third store that I went into, I didn't see anything. As I was on my way out, something said, look up. And when I looked up, there was a brand new Kenmore sewing machine on the top shelf. I got that machine and it was $7. $7. I got that machine. And for the next several months, I sat at home and I would teach myself to sew. And that started to give me purpose. It started to give me, it was soothing because I felt myself having so much anxiety. And what I really didn't know at that time was I was grieving.
Yes.
I'd lost one of my best friends and one of my flight chiefs a couple years before I retired, Master Sergeant Latanya Bellamy Dees. And I was still grieving that. And then I was grieving the loss of my career. I was grieving the loss of my military family. And no one had really explained it to me in those terms. I out-processed, and all of a sudden, one day I just felt like, what happened here? I don't even know what to wear. I had these big plans to wear all these clothes that I have in my closet, but I can't even put an outfit together because I'm so used to wearing my ABUs,
military
or my BDUs.
uniform. You don't have to think about squat. You just put blues or BDUs.
That's it. Yeah. What do I wear today? Oh my God. So, sewing just really became a lifesaver for me. And I know that several of the other ladies have felt the same way.
Anybody else want to chime in on their transition?
I will. Mine was a total opposite. Again, I was on active duty for 6 years and I went in with a plan. I needed to get a degree. My undergraduate is in social psychology. And then I went on to use the rest of the GI Bill to get a master's in counseling. So I just, in my mind, it's like, this is what I'm going to do. I already know. So I'm going to just go to school, get my degree, and then I'm going to get a job. Now, the job part was hard, but I met and married my husband, and then I just kept moving around with him. So I was still connected to the military community because my husband retired from the Marine Corps. So we moved around. I mean, I probably moved since I got out the military 8 more times after that.
Oh, wow.
So I've been around. And then once I got a job and started working in schools, I was able to continue to just have connections with people that I work with, and then just the wives of the people of the Marines that he was in charge of. So I feel like my transition was easy coming out, but it's the moving around and trying to connect with other people, especially now that he's retired and we're living here in Austin. I don't know if I said that before, but I live in Austin, Texas, and I work in a school here. So I do have people that I can communicate with, that I work with on another level. And to be honest, there's so many military people in my building, like other staff members that I work with that are prior service. So I feel like that's a good thing. We connect on that level as well.
I think that's great. I think what's difficult is if I got out of the military and stayed in a military community, I won't say my transition would have been easier, but I think it may have because I was around that. But when I left the military, we moved to Massachusetts and nobody was military there. No one knew about the military. I didn't speak about it because I thought no one wanted to know about it. So I think it's different. I won't say it's better. It's just different. But the big news is that we all found our feet on the ground. And I do agree with Chris in the fact that you do grieve. And I only learned this several years ago. And I've been out it'll be 24 years this year in April. Oh. And, I said, oh, that's what that was. So I feel as though I keep transitioning, learning new things about what I went through before. So, Oneika or Rochelle, would you guys like to chime in?
So, I think I'll try to articulate as best as I can because I feel like even right now today, I'm coming up on like okay, I'm okay. You say your footing because I'm probably not the only one, but I was so naive and I joined so young. Like I left home 2 weeks after high school. So think about this. I've done 20 years, but mentally, I was so ready to get out. But mentally, I literally thought that, okay, that 17-year-old girl is like I put her on a shelf and then I just did my military career. And I kind of separated the two, like Oneika, the military person, the Air Force person, and then Oneika, the girl who had no parts of the military. So when I retired, I thought I could pick that 17-year-old girl back up and kind of grow her to where my how old was I? Like my 40-year-old self was. And I did not want to I didn't want to like admit that who I was at 40 years old was because of the military, because I just thought we were two separate people. I'm about to cry. Mm-hmm. So I retired in 2018 and today, it's 2024 and I'm just now, like I just went home, visited home from North Carolina, and I came back home to San Antonio and I was like, there was this piece like, okay, I think I can, the two have come together. Like, I think I can be okay with me as a whole person, and the luster of what I thought I missed at home was gone because I saw some old friends and I'm like, they're doing like, they're doing the same thing. I have so much love for them, but we can't relate because, and I can't relate to them. They don't understand where I came from. And there was kind of like this piece that like, okay, you can start your life now. And so that was my transition. And with sewing, my mind was all over the place, but when I would sit in front of a sewing machine, I would just be focused. And so that is why, like, sewing pretty much saved my life. Because if you can hear, I can't explain how torn I was between figuring out who I was.
I think we all have to do that.
Yes.
You know, we don't know who we are when we're not in uniform. You know, I speak to women veterans all the time, and I said, if you couldn't mention the military, your rank, or anything, how would you describe yourself to someone?
Right. But I wanted to go back to Oneika before the military, not
Can't,
understanding,
yeah.
not understanding that you can't, because who I am is the military has grown me into
Mhm.
who I am. So I'm finally at peace with that, with this woman. And it's so
Mhm.
fun now getting to know who I am.
Right? Oh, it's like putting on a jacket that just fits, just, you're like, yeah. You know, you put it on, it feels good. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Rochelle, how was your transition?
Oh, wow. My transition was easy to say the least, simply because all I did was take off the uniform and sat in the same seat of being in the military. And I did that
When
for an
was that
extra
for
12
me? I wanted
years.
that.
Yeah, so I did that for an extra 12 years. I worked at AFCENT, which is
Mhm.
the headquarters for Air Force Central, based out of South Carolina, Shaw Air Force Base, South Carolina, for 12 years. So I was there from coming from Korea there from 2006 to 2020. So 14 years in the same spot. And
Wow.
just moved, I don't think I said it, but I just moved to Orlando in 2020 during the height of the pandemic, June
That was
2020.
right smack dab in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And been here since, love it.
Mhm.
But with the military, I would say the transition there has been easy, but moving from that atmosphere of being in the military to
Mhm.
Orlando, it has been kind of hard. Even though I do work in the government contract sector, I'm still with the military. I still talk to them.
Mhm.
It has been harder because I don't see a lot of them where I live now. It's basically I have to go to Tampa or the coast, Patrick
Mhm.
Air Force Base or something like that, in order to speak and talk to different military
Mhm.
individuals. So I just tend to go to South Carolina every year. I'll be going back in like 2 weeks.
That's awesome. I think also too that, you know, as women, a lot of civilians don't see us as veterans. You know what I mean? They don't, they're like, well, what did you do? And the only reason I say that is because we have a supermarket here with a parking space that says veteran parking. And I park there. And if I tell you, I've had people want to call the cops on me because they don't. Now, on my license plate, it says Air Force retired. They tell me, well, you don't look like a veteran. And I think that just adds to the, you know, you're already feeling like, you know, this is hard. And then someone who has never put the uniform on is now saying, well, you don't look like a veteran. And I want to be like, is there a picture in the dictionary of what a female veteran is supposed to look like? Because I need to see, or it needs to be updated, one or the other. Let's go back to
I
Chris. Oh, go ahead.
uh, I was going to say I agree with you, Kat, simply because I have a plate that actually says veteran on my SUV. And if I'm not driving that vehicle, they'll say the same thing, kind of like,
Mhm.
you don't look like a veteran. I'm like, well, what typically does a veteran look like? Because maybe because I don't look like it, you don't know what's going inside of me that makes me a veteran. You don't know if I've been to a war zone, what that looks like. You don't know what
Exactly.
problems that I came out the military with. So
Mhm.
before you pass judgment on someone, just
Mhm.
just thank them for their service.
Super simple. You know, on the other hand, I was parked there and there was a woman in her SUV and I was sitting there and she goes, I just wanted to thank you for serving. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. I was like, yes. So anyway, Chris, let's talk about how you started doing the Veterans Who Sew. Did you think that it was going to be this, or did you think, what was your thought process when you were thinking about doing this?
So this has actually been a vision of mine for quite a while. Initially, once I learned to sew, I realized sewing can be kind of lonely. And there were other communities, other craft communities on social media that I tried to become a part of, and I just didn't quite fit. I didn't feel welcomed, and it was kind of difficult. And
Mhm.
I had a vision to create what I needed, and that has that after Anecia recommended that we start getting together, I see other ways for us to grow the community and to bring other women into the fold. But this is something that I've wanted to do, honestly, since about a year after I retired. I retired in 2016. So about 2017, I wanted to bring women veterans together so that we could collaborate. And at that time, I was still a baby sewist. I was still trying to find my way, but I wanted other women that I could say, hey, I don't understand what this pattern is asking me to do. I wanted to communicate with other veterans who understood the journey that I'd taken, and I could understand the journey that they'd taken. So I think that was the beginning, and we've certainly there's a lot more that we've talked about doing. We've talked about doing a conference next year and several other things.
I love that. Rochelle, I know you have to jump off in a few minutes. What has being a part of this community meant to you? How has it helped you?
So this community have helped me a lot. So one thing that I know from my military background, and I have been a teacher and stuff. So I love teaching. So I put tutorials together, easy instruction that even a kid could understand with sewing and being a part of the community. So that's where I get my joy, for someone to kind of like take something that I have done, make it their own, and be able to say, hey, Rochelle, you did that simply because your instructions were so easy to follow. So that's where I get my joy out of. And whatever I can provide to the community, it's not about me. It's basically just helping others, like I did in the military, give back.
Where were you when I was trying to make that skirt in high school? You know,
I was around.
I'm an ABC 1, 2, 3 girl, like step A, step B, you know, let's just say I passed the class. And I'm just going to leave it there. Anecia, what has this done? What is this community? How has this community helped you?
Well, first of all, for me is art. What we do is art. And when we finish our finished product, I'm just always so just like, oh my God, look how this looks when you're done. Because it goes from a piece of paper and a piece of fabric to something that you can wear that actually fits your body and people want it, or can you make me one? So that's how I feel once I finish producing a garment and I put it on my body. I don't sew for other people. So I don't know, it's something about it. Well, first of all, I don't have time. And secondly, I feel like people, if I try to make some for someone and they didn't like it, then I would just be done. I would be done with them. So I just don't even do it. I don't try to. However, I am working on something for my son, but it's not like a garment that you wear. It's something else, and I don't want him to see this. Then he'll know what it is. And I haven't given it to him
I
yet.
think it's important to understand that when you're in a group, because you guys feel like you're in this safe space, that if someone, Oneika gave you advice on something, she's not going to say, oh, well, you need to change this, you do this. She'll be like, what if you change this to this? And you're like, oh, okay. And it's a safe space, and you're not, and I understand what you're saying about making something for someone else. I can't even sew, although I can say the sewing machines today are amazing. I'm just going to say that, but I cannot sew. It's not my thing, but I did go into crocheting. I love to crochet, and it's very soothing to me to crochet. It's like my mind clears, and I'm in the zone when I crochet. Oneika.
I do that as well too. So I'd love to see some of your pieces, and maybe we can compare notes on crocheting, because I crochet as well.
Be nice to me, okay?
We all help each other. That's what we do. When we got together last week, that's what we did. We just collaborated and shared ideas and where we could find pieces that fabric for cheap. inexpensive
Because some of
fabric.
that fabric is super
It
expensive.
is. And when we know resources, we like to share with each other. And just some other things that, we might want. Like I shared that I have these super scissors to cut thick fabric and show them. And these things are just, they don't cut up a box, but they cut so quickly you don't have to hold the scissors. So they're electric cutters
Oh, nice.
for thick fabric. And so I shared that with the group. But that's what I mean, just sharing little things. I think Chris shared, what were you guys, the body shaper? What is that called again?
The power mesh or compression mesh. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
I
good
had
stuff.
no idea what that was. I'm just putting on my Spanx. And they're like, no, you could put this, you could sew this up under your garment.
Who knew?
Exactly. So yes,
Wow.
this group is awesome.
Oneika, what does this group do for you?
Just a sense of community, being like finding your tribe, as Anecia is talking about, like for somebody on the outside, they might be like, y'all talking about scissors? What? But to me, I geek out on that stuff, like notions and things like that. And I mean, I just see so much potential for how this group is going to grow. I mean, we've already we've been in magazines together. We've been on podcasts together. I'm about to start school, and I think that's where I want to, once I start school, I want to be able to share all of that knowledge from what's in school to be able to contribute. But I'm along for the ride. I see us going places that we haven't thought, and I'm just so excited to see what's going to come of this group, where we're going to go with this group, and to know that there's veterans out there who love sewing just as much as I do is just so awesome to me.
And I think being part of a veteran community, you don't have to explain yourself. You know what I mean? When you're in a group and other people are like, oh, you served. Oh, well, did you fly a plane? I'm like, no, I didn't fly a plane. Thank you for thinking I could be a pilot. But, but when you're with veterans, and it doesn't matter what branch you served, we all speak the same language, which is what I love. So thank you, Anecia. Chris, where do you see this group? Let's fast forward 5 years from now. Where do you see this group? What are you guys doing? Where are you going? What's happening? Are you on the news, national news? I'm going to see you on, ABC, NBC, CBS, talking about you guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see that. I envision that. I pray for that. I see us being a resource for veterans, for, veterans who left the military, veterans who are, those who are still serving, military families. I see us being a resource, whether that's through community, teaching classes, showing up at conferences that are hosted for the military community so that we can actually share the benefits of sewing for others. I see us partnering with those working in the mental health field and being a resource for them, for that community as well. There's so many things that I would love to see us doing, but the most important thing is I see us continuing to grow our sisterhood and to be there, just being there for each other. Just listening to Oneika a moment ago, sometimes you can hear someone say something and you have that aha moment. And as she was talking about her transition out of the military and talking about that separation of Oneika the military individual and Oneika the 17-year-old, I felt like she was telling my story, and I didn't even know that was my story. And so I was over here about to cry just listening to her, because that's what I was feeling. And I didn't even know that's what I was feeling until she said it. And so just having this sisterhood, having this safe place for us and for other women veterans to come into and to express these feelings and not feel like there's something wrong with you, or you're an oddball, or you're broken. Some of the things that we can say to each other, we can't say to other people without there being some level of judgment. So
Absolutely.
I love this place. I love these ladies, and I'm just so grateful that God allowed our paths to cross.
Before we go, I would like to get just some words of advice. If someone's listening to this, they love to sew, but they're kind of, they're on the fence. What kind of advice would you give someone who's looking for a group like yours? Rochelle, let's start with you.
Hop on in. We will literally welcome you with open arms.
Can I be an honorary member? I don't sew, but can I?
You can. It's not about sewing. It's just crafting. It's about crafting. Listen, we have people in the sewing community that does bags. They crochet. They knit. It's not about sewing. The first step is,
thank goodness. Y'all would kick me out. I'm just going to say. You kick me out.
Finding a community where you can tell your story through your art.
Yes.
That's the first step. Just finding something for you.
I love that. Oneika?
I will say yes, Rochelle. And also it's really not about sewing. It's that thing that you have that you can kind of like focus on, that gets you in this place of creation. And I know that Chris, I know she likes to talk about God in the sense, because I agree with her when she talks about how just when she's sewing and she's in her space, it's like you are literally like God creates. So it's almost like an extension of that. You're just lending your hands, your whatever that you have craft wise to this. And I lost my train of thought, but I will just say that to give advice to someone who wants to join our group, it's really not, and this is what I've learned from this community and a lot of other crafting communities that are genuine. It's not about like your skill level. Nobody's looking for your skill level. There's a lot of encouragement because regardless of what you do, we've all started from somewhere. So I think we all have a heart to know like, hey, we were there too. But if you keep doing it, you keep crocheting, you keep knitting, you keep talking, you keep speaking, it's going to grow. And I think that this group is just indicative of joining right in and then seeing the growth and then having someone to encourage you. And as you said, safe space. So come on. Come on, we're here for you.
I love that, Oneika.
Let me add this. I think people should just if you have a sewing machine, or just like Chris found hers at a thrift or whatever shop, just get one, open it up. It won't bite you. And, we can show you how to thread it and how to use it and just get you started. I think people are just scared to
start.
Try.
They're getting ready to get ready. Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then they don't.
Kat,
and it's been a whole year.
Kat, I got one thing for you. Don't even put the thread together in your sewing machine. Just learn how to sew in a straight line with no thread. You'll be fine.
Right.
You'll be fine. Just make some lines on a piece of paper and just go down.
Just try to go down. Yeah. See, I love that.
No thread or anything.
I got that. I'm like, there you go. See that? You're speaking my language. Chris, before we go, if someone wants to reach out, where can they find you? Or where can they find Veterans Who Sew?
You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Veterans Who Sew. You can follow us there. And we also meet on the last Saturday of each month. We'll post the meeting times and the link to our Zoom on either of those platforms. So we'd love to have anyone join us. And as Rochelle said, it doesn't have to be sewing with a sewing machine. It can be any type of fiber art. We just love to have you in this safe community with us.
Well, ladies, this has been such an enlightening conversation about, being creative, that it doesn't have to be sewing, that it can be anything creative like that. And I love that. But just getting to know you guys, it's been such a pleasure just speaking with you and learning about you guys. And I'm super excited. That's why I said, I want to be a part of the group. Yeah, hello. But for anyone listening, please reach out to Chris. If you are on the fence, just reach out and have a conversation. That's where it all starts, is a conversation. So I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Until next time, please stay safe, take care of each other. And again, until next time, and it's never too late to start your impossible.